Hello everyone, so today I want to talk about LUSHA, the Second Awakened Light Warbear. Esco had commented on my Siege Defense Guide video, which if you haven't seen, you can check out. He said, was thinking I maybe saw you use LUSHA on Siege Offense in one of your videos. Can you do a video about him? The comps you would use with him and whom you'd attack. So my girlfriend not long ago also suggested I make videos on a particular monster and talk about how I would rune it. And my problem with that was basically in Summoner's War, you shouldn't just build a monster, you should build a team. But I figure I could make a video highlighting a monster, how I would rune it, and then show some teams against particular meta comps that I could use them in. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, and I might make a series out of it. We'll see. Anyways, this is my LUSHA, which if you watch my Siege Defense replays, you see that I use them mostly against khmun, Vigor Skogul. I have him runed on Vampire Will. Vampire is pretty obvious if you know what his skill 3 does. He drops his HP to a very low amount and deals damage based on the amount of HP that gets dropped. So I have him runed on HP. I know people also rune him on HP crit damage HP. In my experience, he seems to hit incredibly hard on triple HP, and that's the runes I have available, so that's what I'm going with. I'm not sure if he'll hit harder on crit damage. I'm sure there's, a way to do the math and figure out the best optimal way for his damage output, but I figure if you can do triple HP, it would be better than HP crit damage HP just because he should be that much harder to kill. That said, he is pretty likely to die because of his third skill, and so he's pretty good paired with revivers. Anyways, Will is necessary because he's a light monster, and if you're using a light dark monster on offense and you're going up against defenses that are often fire, water, wind, then there's no particular way you know that he won't get targeted. For example, khmun, Vigor Skogul, Vigor will target a fire monster, and he's the one you're scared of because he has the defense break, so he determines who is going to get targeted. So in my team that I usually use, it's LUSHA, Vigor, Michelle. So I have a water monster, a wind monster, and a light monster. So Vigor will target either the light monster or the water monster. He won't target Michelle. And wherever that defense break lands, that's going to determine who khmun will target. So Will is important for that first turn because you don't want LUSHA to take a bunch of damage, because the amount of HP that gets dropped is what his damage output is proportional to. So you want him to be able to nuke someone as quickly as possible, and that means you want him to be at least as close as full health as possible. Doesn't have to be quite full health, like Julie, for example, who really needs to be at full health to do the damage that she needs to do to kill a lot of the teams you bring her against to. But anyways, I think Vampire is obvious. Will, I think, is necessary. And then plus 87 speed, that's on purpose. That brings him to the 205 speed breakpoint, which again, if you don't know about speed, you can check that video out. I have a video breaking down how speed works in Summoner's War. And for artifacts, we have damage reduction from wind and water. Damage reduction from fire would be good as well. I just have crit damage received at the moment, and then life drain to make the vampire runes that much better. And then on the other side, just additional damage. You want to make sure that whoever you hit dies. So that's the goal with LUSHA. Anyways, I'll show you 3 counters to 3 pretty meta siege defenses. 2 of them I would say are definitely meta. One you see very rarely in G3, but you probably see it in lower ranks, I would think. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, so like I was saying, LUSHA, Vigor, Michelle against khmun, Vigor, Skogul. If you watch my Siege replay videos, I use this fairly often, and it seems to always perform well for me. This is my own khmun, Vigor, Skogul defense. It has a, 35 and 18 record currently, so it's runed pretty well, I would say. Here's khmun's runes: Violent Destroy plus 150, plus 150 with the 19 speed lead gets him to the 286 speed breakpoint. Vigor at plus 132, same thing, gets him to the 286 breakpoint. And he's at 287 exactly to be 1 speed faster than Khmun. That way he can do the defense break, then Khmun can go right after. And then Skogul is plus 110 to be at the 239 speed breakpoint with just as much HP as possible. And also some damage reduction from wind for people that like to use copper. So anyways, LUSHA, on the other hand, not a lot of people do damage reduction from light, you know? So the idea with pretty much all LUSHA comps is LUSHA with some kind of defense breaker, hopefully a reliable defense breaker. You want them to have a decent amount of accuracy and some kind of solid support like Michelle. So Michelle's really nice because she can bring him back in the event that he dies, which is certainly possible. Using him against Vigor is a little sketchy because of Vigor's skill 2, putting the anti-crit, and you need to crit. If you do not crit, you're going to have a bad time. So make sure he's at least 80 crit rate, I would say. If you get 100, that's much better, but for sure you want at least 80. But yeah, from there it's just land the defense break, kill someone, keep everyone alive until the next time you can use it, and then just go at it again. I think Vigor's probably the best defense breaker you can pair with him because he's an extra support and the defense break lasts for 3 turns, which is really nice. So having, you know, a second healer and someone that can land a 3-turn defense break just makes him probably the best possible defense breaker to pair with LUSHA. But in the next teams, I'll use a different monster. I'm not going to use the same monster twice except for LUSHA. That way, you know, there's a decent amount of variety. But just know that in all of the comps that I use, you can probably supplement whatever defense breaker I use with Vigor, and it'll perform as well or better. Alright, so Xing, Tesarion, Molly. You see different variations of this defense in G3. Often it's Tesarion Vigor Molly, or Tesarion Tyrannus Molly, or Tesarion Xing. I want to bring this against Tesarion Vigor Molly because you're already dealing with Molly's glancing passive to deal with Vigor's anti-crit skill, and Molly's glancing passive together just seems like a recipe for disaster using a monster that needs to crit to win. So I think the Xing is much more doable, and then the Tyrannus with Tesarion on offense, Tyrannus is probably doable, but I also feel like Tyrannus could violent proc enough to just keep reviving before LUSHA's skill comes up again. Plus often people run Tesarion lead, so you have a resistance lead, which means on defense they will resist everything, and so it's challenging for sure, because again, you need to crit and you need to land defense break. So this is one of my guildies defense. Again, I'll show the runes here. His Xing is runed pretty well, I would say. It's certainly efficient, lacking accuracy unfortunately, but overall pretty good stats. Lacking a little bit of crit rate too. And I think it probably would be better with Tesarion lead over the HP lead. That's just me. I think, I don't know, in my experience, siege defenses just have insane resistance whenever they have an actual resistance leader skill. So Tesarion, same thing, lacking crit rate, lacking a bit of defense, but overall pretty efficient. And then Violent Revenge is great. Xing would probably be better on Violent Destroy or Violent Revenge. Violent Nemesis is not bad though. And then the Molly is also Violent Nemesis, and I mean, she's runed pretty well, 77 resistance, so again, with the resistance lead, that'd bring her to 100. I think that'd make her quite a bit more scary, but good speed on her, and then decent health. Could use a little more defense, but overall pretty good. and 4% accuracy should be plenty for her because she'll land skill 1 strip regardless. So Tesarion's great to bring in to a defense full of passives, so that's why we bring Tesarion. But I think Vigor would work here as well. So I've been doing Tesarion first. I don't have any particular reason for that. I think you could do Xing first, but this has been working for me. This is attempt number 5, and I have not failed yet. So I'm just gonna keep going with what works, you know? Harmonia is of course a great synergy with LUSHA because she can do her skill 3 to, you know, deal the damage that LUSHA did to himself onto someone else. It's very nice. And then, yeah, same kind of thing. You just defense break someone, kill them, make sure your defense breaker has a decent amount of accuracy so you can actually land it. And in a comp like this, if you're going for a particular unit and you just can't seem to land the defense break, it's likely that they're ruined 100 resistance, so you should change your targeting up. Go for someone else who might not be on 100 resistance and go for them instead, basically. But yeah, overall it seems to be pretty safe against this particular defense. Again, I'm sure there's better ruined comps out there that could be a little scarier to hit with this comp, but overall doesn't seem too bad. So feel free to give it a try and let me know how it works for you. And we'll get into the third defense now. Alright, so Jeanne, Theo, Eladriel using Lucia, Lauren, and Tetra. Lauren in this case is our defense breaker. Tetra is our support. Tetra's great against Jeanne, has the heal, makes the, what's it called, provoke, only lasts 1 turn basically. If she violent procs, makes it go away entirely. This one is the one I was talking about earlier that you don't see in G3 very much. I have seen it before, but you mostly see Jeanne, Vigor, Odin in G3 currently. That's like the most common Jeanne defense. But I'm sure you see Jeanne, Theo, Eladriel at all kinds of different ranks. It's an okay defense. Eladriel can be ruined as a copper trap, or the whole team could be ruined as a Lucian trap. You know, a bunch of wind damage reduction and everyone ruined triple HP or something silly. But like I said with the first defense, no one's really running damage reduction from light. So Lucia should hit really, really hard. This is also probably the worst ruined of the 3 defenses. No offense to my guildie. It's not bad. I mean, plus 140 on Jeanne is pretty good. Decent amount of defense. Lacking on HP. Lacking on resistance. Solid accuracy though. Theo, lacking HP. Good amount of attack, so you should hit hard. Overall, nothing too great though. And then same thing, Eladriel. Nothing too special. But not bad. I don't wanna roast my guilty too bad. But anyways, same concept. Land your defense break. In this case, you certainly want to kill the reviver first, the Wind Archangel. Forgetting his name at the moment. Eladriel. I don't know how to pronounce that one. I feel like I don't know how to pronounce anyone's names, but that's okay. I don't need to pronounce names. So land the defense break, and then Lucia goes boom boom, and they die. And then you do it again and again and again. He's a fun monster to use for sure. So just to reiterate, the general idea behind comps with Lucia is Lucia, support, defense breaker, and you should always build team comps rather than just units. So in this case, make sure Lucia is slower than your defense breaker, or defense breaker is faster than Lucia, same thing. I think the best defense breaker paired with them is a high accuracy Vigor, because he just adds so much additional support and damage. Bella can be good too. You know, that's another monster that can both heal and defense break. Tesarion and Lauren are both good, as I showed in this video. The best supports to pair with them are a good reviver like Michelle, maybe Platy, or what's her name, Betta, the mermaids. They would be okay. Or Harmonia, so you can, you know, swap the damage that he does to himself to an enemy, which is a really nice synergy. I've heard some people use them with monsters that give invincibility, like Neil the Light Fairy, which makes a lot of sense because that prevents any damage, and it also gives you more leeway in how you build Lucia, because if he's dealing no damage to himself, then you don't need vampire runes. Maybe you could build him on a rage set, build him on violent, build him, different ways. That said, you'd need to build a second monster to do that, and even then vampire might still be the best, assuming there's a stripper on defense, or your turns just don't line up the way you want them to. But I don't know, it's a thought. Anyways, let me know if you use Lucia, and if you do, how you use them. Also, let me know if you'd like to see more videos with this sort of template, and if so, what monster you'd like to see next, assuming I own it, of course. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.